the more comfortable you are, the weaker you are. And the weaker you are, the more you can expect to lose. And I'm going to tell you why coming right up. I have 4 things that you're probably doing right now that are making you weak because it's also keeping you too comfortable. And let me first hit you with a story. Okay, now I am a retired Marine and I'm not going to be littering this freaking channel with all kinds of Marine stories or anything, but this is the first thing that came to mind, and it's an early memory. It was 2001 and we were in Japan. We were on what's called a Marine Expeditionary Unit. Our infantry battalion was out in Japan and we're kind of we just hang out. We hang out, we train, we do things, and if something happens, like something happened a few months later, 9/11, then we go out and we do what we got to do. We get the mission, we carry it out. Now, in this case, up until that point, it was peacetime. So I had my little fire team and I was part of a squad, and, I was friends with all the fire team leaders and squad leaders, and there wasn't a lot of discomfort. There wasn't a lot of anything going on. One thing that made us kind of comfortable generally was the fact that the weather was so freaking hot. It was the summer. I'll never forget, we'd have to get up at like 3 or 3:30 in the morning to do our PT or physical training because it was black flag when the sun came up. Black flag conditions means absolutely no outside exercise allowed or anything. So like basically wanted everyone to stay inside. So, so we'd go and we'd PT and then we would just like sleep for a while, so there was an enlisted club, which means I was out drinking. There was a gym, there was everything you need. And you were just kind of confined essentially to, that base or that camp. And we just hung out with my friends and we were all up to no good. Trust me, when Marines are in barracks alone, there's not a lot of good things that can happen. A lot of drinking happens and a lot of just tomfoolery and savage shit. All I really had to do was make sure that I was being good to my fire team, which were, I think, 2 private first class Marines, and then one was a Lance Corporal. I was a corporal at the time. Now, there wasn't a lot to do. Like, it wasn't hard to keep track of them. It wasn't hard to keep other Marines in line. It was very simple. Like, we just did our thing. We got some classes. We did some exercises. We just did a lot of whatever. It's almost so bland the way I'm describing it because there just wasn't a lot going on. One day, our motivated lieutenant, who was doing his job, and I hated him for it, said, "Hey, Corporal Cardona, I need you to give a hip pocket class on land navigation, and I'm going to observe you." Now, up until this point, I was smooth sailing. Like, I had my friends, I had my resources in case there was anything I didn't know, and my team was performing well. I felt like I was performing well. I was middle of the pack, and that's a whole other episode. But I had not been in any discomfort pretty much whatsoever. I was just chilling, like exactly what I shouldn't have been doing. And he asked me to give this hip pocket class, which just means like just a class on something that we can use some refinement on or practical application on. Now, I wasn't in the infantry the whole time I was in the Marine Corps. So a couple years prior to that, I was in this other unit, and it was security forces, a totally different thing. Well, anyway, I have to give this class to the platoon, and now the lieutenant wants to observe. Well, look, this dude right here and land nav don't mix. Don't put a fucking map in front of me. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I never paid attention. And look, you're going to see throughout this channel, like when you're doing things that you never really wanted to do, like it just doesn't stick in your head that much. Okay. So here I am, and I'm trying to give this class on like almost no notice, a class any Marine Corps corporal should be able to give without fail. And I was stumbling. I was stuttering. I was just all kinds of fucked up. And it was embarrassing, man. I felt like I had been completely exposed. I was looking around at all the faces and they're just kind of like not tracking, but because they were good Marines, they didn't say like, "Corporal, like I'm not tracking." Like no one said anything. They probably knew I was under a lot of pressure because the lieutenant was watching, and they just were just like, "We're just gonna let it slide." But no one came to my room after to ask for clarification. The feedback I got from the lieutenant was awful, and there it was. Now, if I want to be a good Marine, which I obviously should have taken so many different things seriously during my career, but if I want to be a good Marine, if I really want to set the example for that fire team, then I could have been doing things a lot differently. I could have been doing extra PT. I could have been going to the gym more often. I could have not gone to the enlisted club. I could have not been getting in trouble with my buddies. I could have been studying my craft, studying my profession, volunteering for hip classes instead of even getting assigned hip pocket classes to give. But I wasn't doing that. And because I wasn't doing that, because I was too comfortable, it made me weak. And when you're weak, you are not going to prevail. Now, There was no reason in any shape, form, or fashion that I could have elevated, my status or my expertise or lack thereof in that immediate moment. The next thing that happened was 9/11, not long after that. And then, away we go. And then everything was a little bit different. But that feeling of inadequacy, that feeling of inefficiency really let me look back and say, wow, you weren't even trying to grow. What was I doing? And there's not enough time that we are here on this planet to just fuck around like that. Okay, like you've been exposed, or you've been on the brink of being exposed, or you just sit with a regular fear that someone's gonna find out that you are not an expert, or you are not even fundamentally sound in what it is you do. If you don't want to be doing that thing, then you're probably not gonna be able to store it, and you're probably not gonna succeed. But if you are living that, then this video is for you. And I'm gonna talk about 4 things in general in life that are making you weak because they're making you too comfortable. Number 1 is you are not asking people if they understand what the hell you're talking about when they are looking at you completely freaking confused. Like, what? You and I know when we're trying to communicate a point, whether it's in our family or whether it's at work, when someone is just not freaking tracking. Just like I was talking to those Marines and they're just like, what is this dude talking about? Those moments. You absolutely can recognize the body language, the lack of attention, the spacing out, the looks of confusion, the just awkward feeling. You could say something and immediately in your head be like, I did not explain that well. When you are not asking someone if they understand what you're saying, or if you automatically know that you don't understand what you're even saying, then it's probably time to refine what the hell you think you know about it, about what you're talking about. So 2 things are going to happen there. 1, you're either going to decide to improve, or 2, you're just going to shut up and not talk about that again and not give your unqualified opinion. So look at the feedback, look at the body language, look at that. This is a chance for you to evaluate your communication. Whatever it is that you want to do in terms of personal growth or goal setting, like if this is off kilter, you're fucked. Number 2 is you're inconvenienced by what I like to call easy, hard things. My wife, not long ago, just got home from the grocery store and I heard all the bags coming in and I was literally preparing for this and I was in a zone, and in my head, I'm like, if she asks me for help, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm just being real with you. And that's being too comfortable. Okay, that's being too comfortable. Yes, I have dedicated time to work and do my deep work and all those good things. But if I'm too comfortable to help someone out, if I'm too comfortable, I'm going to find myself getting inconvenienced by things that are really trivial. Okay, and the reason this is bad, like it happens to all of us, right? Like it happens, like maybe you get into the drive-through line and the line's a lot longer than you thought. If those kinds of things start to mount up, that means you actually don't have any significant challenges in your life. And a life that lacks challenges lacks growth. If you notice that the littlest things start to bother you, that just means you're not getting challenged on a real front on a regular basis, because all those little things are things that you would be happy to do. Now, that's a little example. I absolutely would have got up and helped her if she needed it or whatever it may be. But when I notice myself getting in that, I go, what am I not doing on a regular basis that's not making me uncomfortable? Because if I'm too comfortable, then that just means that my days are not challenging and I'm easy. And that means I'm probably not progressing closer to anything that I actually want to be happening. Number 3, and you're probably going to disagree with me here, but when you look like shit because you don't have to dress up, or you don't have to shave, or you don't have to be in public, you probably don't think a lot about yourself. And that is a problem. That makes you comfortable. That makes you weak. If you are just going to choose to actually just wear sweats or not wash your underwear for the 3rd day in a row, or not take a shower for a 2nd day in a row. Now look, there might be some mental health problems or depression here or something like that, but man, woman, or child, like having good personal hygiene and actually just like dressing yourself and being clean is important. And I know this sounds crazy for this channel, but dude, like whenever anyone I know looks like ass and it's usually distant from how they usually look, then that just means they're too comfortable. And look, here's the funny thing. You could be so busy. You could be so unbelievably busy, and maybe with a lot of good things, that you forego that. But this also actually means that you're comfortable. And the less pride you take in your appearance, at least in my opinion, it is just not a good look. Pun intended. Pun intended? I don't know. Maybe. It matters. And it doesn't matter for other people. It matters for you. Because here's what's probably happening. If you were just throwing on a hat before that Zoom meeting, if you're just clearing your desk right before that Zoom meeting, if you're just putting on a shirt right before that Zoom meeting, if you are doing any of those things, it means you're probably not looking in the mirror often. If you do happen to be looking in the mirror often, all of a sudden you've been okay with just looking like trash. And that is weakness, okay? Like, I'm telling you, like, you know, taking a shower, working out early and doing all these things and actually putting on a collared shirt and not just being as comfortable as I can definitely allows me to show up better. I feel more confident in front of my wife. I feel like I look good in front of my wife. I smell good, all that good stuff. I get on my calls. I'm on my first team sync at 6 a.m. people, and I'm not just on there to look like freaking ass because I want to show up. If you dress good, if you are good, then you will feel good and you will be more confident. And those are the kinds of things that you need to be consistent with. You are going to be blown away by how much better you show up for everyone. Don't let being busy be an excuse to look like total trash. And the last one, number 4, and the most important, is you actually let a lot of things slide. And look, this is for that person at work who gets asked to do all the extra things. This is for that person at work who has really hit it out of the park and they get no fucking feedback from their boss or their shithead manager. This is for that person in that job or in that family where they just really go out of their way and they feel completely underappreciated. Here's one thing you are not going to take into consideration here. Whether that's how you are naturally, which is a giver, or you are working on it to truly, like you are actively working on it to give because you want to show up in that capacity for other people, it doesn't matter. What matters is when it is not acknowledged. And I'm not telling you to go search out for acknowledgement. I'm telling you to look at the situation when you let things slide. When you want to say no and instead you're like, yeah, no problem, to save face, that's a fucking problem. That means you are too comfortable. Okay, that means you are too comfortable letting other people dictate what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, and when you should be doing it. So really think about this. The more things that you say to yourself, like, it'll just be easier if I do it. It'll just be easier if I don't say anything. Those things are the type of things that just cause this fucking cyclone to come and just blast your world when you least expect it. You are absolutely too comfortable if you are being passive and if you are letting too many things go unchecked. I made an episode not long ago, Who's Walking Who. Check out that episode. We could link it right here and you will be able to kind of tell the signals that you're getting walked. Okay, you are getting walked and you are getting worked. But that is obviously a sign, in my opinion, a dead giveaway that someone is too comfortable. And it might be completely counterintuitive. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're happy, but it means you're starting to get comfortable with getting shit on the norm. And that kind of comfort is beyond destructive. So what is the flip side of that? The flip side is learning how to say no. The flip side is doing what you want. The flip side is walking out of that relationship. The flip side is leaving that job. All these things. There you go. You had 4 tips that might mean you are too comfortable and in essence you are weak and you are not going to hit your goals, which I want you to hit your goals and I want you to have that personal growth. Those are things you got to look out for. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of those or anything I forgot in the comments. So definitely let me know and we will see you next time.